Sandy Says Read. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a review and discussion of Reach Up for the Sunrise, a Duran Duran biography by Jen Selinsky. Now, I met Jen at Imaginarium 2019, which is not a Duran Duran convention, but Duranis, we're like heat-seeking missiles. We can find each other at these types of events. We just seek each other out. So let's start with like a 30,000 foot view of the book first. I've written down some information for you. It's 192 pages. The discography and references go from page 184 to 192 in the back. This is a factual guide to the career of Duran Duran. For someone who doesn't know their story, it's what did I say? It's a quick, factual, step-by-step, timelined out look at what the band went through to make it big, to persevere, and to appease us fans. For a fan who's followed them for 39 years, like myself, I've told you guys I'm ancient. For someone who's followed them for about 39 years, this is a great walk down memory lane. And I've got to say, Jen, thank you. This was a great... It was a great reminder of events in history, of Duran events that I've participated in history. It was a great reminder of trips I've taken with friends, with airline trips, road trips, just all kinds of good stuff that I've been able to do with friends because of this band. And this book was a reminder of it. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it so much. I've written down like different spots in the book that I want to go over with y'all here on the channel because it was cool. It was cool to relive some of this stuff as I was reading. It was fun, and I want to share that fun with you. All right, before we get started, Jen does mention in here a book called Talking to Girls About Duran Duran. It's over there on my shelf somewhere. I read that a while back, and it brings me to a point that I want to just get out of the way here. There are some folks out there who don't give a flip about Duran Duran, folks out there who might say disparaging things about the band from time to time, folks who are like, oh, are they still together? Oh, are they still making music? And I really, at that point, I just go to the basket to see if there's anything to pull out. No, this is empty when it comes to the disparaging remarks about my band. I just want to focus on the positive and the great and the wonderful, which I know that's what I try to do with this channel. Now, Jen has given all of the information in this book. It's facts, facts, facts. So there are trials and disappointments and hardships that the band had to go through. Each member of the band had to go through, throughout their career. It's been 40 years, you guys. Things they've had to go through to make it big, to, make it big, have that ebb and flow of their career over the years. But she also talks about the positives, the triumphs, the good stuff, the wonderful moments, the highlights. Everything is in here. It's a good book. I highly recommend it. I know that if you purchase this on Amazon, you know how it is. The artists, the authors, we get pennies when you buy stuff from Amazon. But if that's the only way you can get your hands on this, do it. I recommend this book. I know there's another book out there. I don't know if it's already been released or if it's going to be released soon, that includes like interviews with the band and I think more photos and stuff. Guys, at this point in my fandom, you could ask a question of John Taylor and I could answer it for you at this point. So I don't necessarily need to read another book that has interviews with the band. In fact, I did not need to read this book about their career. I know the stuff that's in here. But for someone out there who doesn't know their career, this is perfect. For a person like me who I've lived most of this stuff. I've been a fan since New Moon on Monday came out. For a person like me, like I said, this is a great walk down memory lane. I recommend it. And please indulge me. Let me tell you the story of me hearing New Moon on Monday. Let me tell you how I became a fan, okay? Because because I want to. It's my channel. It was 1983. And I was a junior high student, and I heard this song on the radio one night, and I thought it was cool. So the next morning, I went to my orchestra class, and I sat down next to my friend Wendy, and I said, hey, I heard this song. And I started to describe it to her, because I couldn't remember all the words, right? I'd only heard it once. But I was describing to her what you all will know as the horses in the village scene, right? I was describing that, and she goes, oh my God, that's New Moon on Monday. That's Duran Duran. And she picks up this like stack of books from under her chair, sets it on her lap, and starts going through these books, these pictures showing me Duran Duran. She had books of Duran Duran in 1983. And I was intrigued by this. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm looking at this, and I see pictures of John Taylor. And that was the end. You guys, I've been a fan ever since. I am a John Taylor fan. At the time, I thought his name was Nick. I thought she was showing me Nick. And so for a long time, I would point at John and say Nick. Like a child. But it was John. It's always been John. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I've got a list of things that I wanted to point out from the book and show you guys. We don't have to go through all of these. I don't know if you guys are going to enjoy this as much as I'm going to enjoy this. But let's start with page 84-85, where we talk about Warren, Warren's reception into the group. You guys may or may not know that when the band was recording Notorious, Andy Taylor took his leave of the band, and Warren Cucurullo joined. Where we go? 84-85. Okay. Jen writes, many fans had yet to learn of his arrival. That's Warren. When they began to notice Warren's presence in the band, a lot of them had mixed reactions. Warren created a division of opinions from Duran fans, and this is accurate. Some welcomed him and thought that he added a new dimension and skill. Others thought that Warren really wasn't deserving, and they restricted his inclusion in the band, in their minds. Regardless of what fans thought, the new guitarist was in the band to take Andy's place. Warren didn't officially declare himself a member of the band until 1989, which was also when Sterling Campbell was officially incorporated. I bring this up because when I attended my first Duran concert, which was on the Big Thing tour, I remember being in the audience and being just immersed in Save a Prayer. They were playing Save a Prayer, and I was sobbing like an idiot, and I was emotionally involved until the guitar took me out of the song. I don't know what Warren was doing, but he was like rocking out Save a Prayer. And I remember being jarred by that and looking over at the guitarist and thinking, God, Andy would never do that. And I don't know if I held that against Warren. Maybe I did, because I'm still talking about it, right? But I was not thrilled with the way Warren handled Save a Prayer that night. I've never been a huge Warren fan, and I think that's why. That and his pornography. But anyway, let's see. Next up on my list is page 99, Ordinary World and Come Undone. Oh yeah, Ordinary World and Come Undone. When those hit the scene, I have stories about them. I won't tell you all the stories because it'll take all night. But the song Ordinary World, a friend of mine at work mentioned that she loved Duran Duran. She loved that one song because of that video. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Hungry Like the Wolf, right? That's what I was thinking. And she started describing this video. And when she was describing it, I was confused because I'm thinking, there's no bride in Hungry Like the Wolf. She was describing Ordinary World. She became a fan because Ordinary World. Whoa. And it blew my mind because I had, up until that point, not met anyone who had joined the fandom because of the Wedding album. So that was a new experience for me at the time, and I thought it was cool, you know? New fans were joining the fandom because of new music, and it was a new experience for me, and I liked it. Come Undone is... the story I have for Come Undone is that my BFF from high school, Christine, she and I drove from Kansas City. She came over from St. Louis, and we drove from Kansas City in my little blue car to Denver to see the band play. And we listened to, I don't know how many different versions of Come Undone for most of that drive. I mean, I think it's a 13-hour drive from Kansas City to Denver. And boy, an awful lot of that drive, we were listening to Come Undone and all its variations. Come Undone is her favorite Duran song. And wow, we listened to it a lot on that drive. And that's why every time I hear Come Undone, it reminds me of Christine. I got her the like this fancy lyric poster of Come Undone for Christmas last year. All right, page 100. Wait, page 100. What's happening on page 100? Hold, please. Let's see what's happening on page 100 that I wanted to... Which I meant. Oh, yeah, she mentions the large aquarium in the Come Undone video. There's a sea turtle in there. And I want you guys to know that sea turtle, that made me happy because, you know, I do the sea turtle stuff. And now the lyric video for More Joy has a dragon in it. It's like I've been validated. All right, what next? Page 102. No. Drive By on the wedding, on the Thank You album. Page 109, she talks about the Thank You album. I remember there was a radio station in Kansas City that played the entire album the day of its release. They played it at midnight. And so I stayed up late to listen to it, of course. And when the song Drive By came on, which is a cover of The Chauffeur, it moved me. I mean, I started crying like an idiot because it was so beautiful. I mean, it's just a beautiful song. My friend Janine, in her apartment across town, she told me after the fact that when the song came on, when it hits that, when the strings come in and it hits that beat, she threw her headphones across the room. I mean, it's one of those songs that if you're listening, it hits you. It's amazing. I recommend everyone go listen to their Thank You album and turn that one up. Turn the whole track up. Neurotic on page 113, she talks about Neurotic Outsiders, which is the band that John Taylor worked on after he left Duran Duran. I was in that little audience the night he left, or the night he announced that he had left Duran Duran. That was a horrible, awful, terrible moment. I'll tell you the story. We, Janine and Christine and I, most of my Duran stories involve us three amigos. We were in this ballroom at a Duran Duran convention in LA. Anyway, we're in the audience and John stops, the set that he's been playing, and he tells us, the story of how, earlier that day he had called the other members of the band and informed them that he needed to leave the band and go about his own creative venue, whatever. And we're all in the audience going, what's happening right now? What? Okay. And we're waiting for the punchline. We're waiting for the joke. We're waiting for this story to end. It didn't end. He started playing Lonely in Your Nightmare. And I want you guys to know I was unable to listen to Lonely in Your Nightmare until the Astronaut album came out. I mean, he messed me up. But I did go to see a couple of the Neurotic Outsiders shows. I mean, I'm a John Taylor fan. And like I said, I will die on that hill. The Neurotic Outsiders story I have for you is there was a radio station in Kansas City that had a contest. And one weekend you were supposed to listen for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Give It Away, Give It Away, Give It Away Now. Listen for that and then call in. And if you're a certain number caller, you won like an album or something, but you got into a drawing. And on Monday morning, they drew a name and they drew mine. And they called me at work. I was so excited because I'm at work listening to the radio and I hear them call the receptionist at the front desk and ask for me. And I'm at my desk like freaking out because she connects them to me. I'm like, holy crap, that's me. So I won, and I was afraid that Janine might be driving to her work and like hear it on the radio and crash. Luckily, no, she was already at work. So I get all the information. I call her and she hyperventilates, and her boss at her work thinks someone has died because she's like on the phone hyperventilating. No, we just won a trip to LA. When we got to LA, my husband's aunt lived in LA at the time. Lovely lady. I tell you what, I love my husband's family. He was a piece of work, but his whole family was cool. So we were visiting his aunt before we went to the hotel. We're visiting with her, and I called the hotel to make sure everything was ready for us. And when I gave them my name, the lady at the desk said, "Oh, you're with Maverick." And I felt, for like a minute, I felt important. I said, well, yes, I am. That was a great show. It was a great event. We got to meet the band afterwards, so I got to meet John. And I had a little disposable camera. This was back in the days of film. I had this little disposable camera that I took with me. So I took his picture, and Janine took my picture with him. And when he saw the camera, he's like, "Oh, what is that?" He took it from me. I'm like, "You can have that if you want it." But he took a picture of me and Janine with the camera. So I needed to keep that camera. I mean, my God, John touched it. So when I got back to Kansas City, I went to this photo processing place where the magazine I worked for got our pictures done. So I went in and I told the lady behind the counter, I need this camera back. So she took it into the bag, got the film out, came back with the camera for me. So I still have that camera in a very special place in the other room. Kept that forever. Oh, what else? Let's see, page 121, Jen talks about the tribute concert. This is one of those, the tribute album, it's one of those things that you might hear us Duranis talk about, not disparagingly. We might talk about in hushed tones, because, a tribute album usually comes out when a band is done, and Duran will never be done. We will never let them be done. So when the tribute album came out, it's all these artists covering Duran songs, and we were pleased that artists were paying tribute to Duran. We were pleased that people wanted to cover Duran songs and pay tribute. That was great. We were just a little hesitant that such a thing was happening. But when the tribute concert happened, Janine and I were able to get away and go to it, so we went to the tribute concert, and that was wonderful and awesome and great. Page 133. Oh, the astronaut tour. Did I tell you about meeting Robin at the airport? There's a gal who lives here in Florida. Her name is Robin. When I went to the airport to fly back home to St. Louis for one of the astronaut concerts, this gal was sitting at the gate, and she had on a Duran t-shirt. And I'm like, well, this is not a coincidence. So I walked up to her and I'm like, excuse me, are you a Duran fan? Yes, of course. So we became fast friends right there on the spot, because we both were John Taylor fans. We have the same birthday. We both played violin in junior high. We both were from St. Louis and had moved to Florida not long before. I mean, it was uncanny, the things we have in common. So we're friends to this day. We both still live here in Florida. I mean, it's uncanny, the things we have in common. Uncanny, I'm telling you. Yeah, so we are pals still. Now page 178, the Kennedy Space Center concert. Yes, of course I went to the Space Kennedy Center concert. It's over there in Cape Canaveral. I just drove over. And thank goodness I did, because then COVID hit and no more concerts happening. One of the things that Jen did not mention, and I'm going to bring it up because this is the advertisement portion of the video. Nobody sponsors these videos. I'm not big enough to have a sponsor. So I'm going to do my own little sponsorship here for just a minute. Indulge me. I want to encourage everyone to go to my website, Sandy Lunder Inc. with a K, and check out the many titles I have available. The one that I'm recommending today is May Your Heart Be Light by Sandy Lunder. This is a book about a vampire in Colorado who opens a bed and breakfast. The reason I'm bringing this one up, not just because the holidays are coming up, but because I wrote this in 13 days. Yes, it's been edited heavily. I wrote this in 13 days after meeting John Taylor at Macy's around Christmas time for his Juicy Couture clothing line event. He had released, I don't know if he released it with Gela or how that went about. But anyway, he released a clothing line, and so I drove up to Atlanta to see him at the Macy's store and get his autograph and get a picture with him, and I was quite inspired after that event. So I wrote the book, and there you go. It was a moment in time. I didn't release the book until 2015, so there was a lot of time in there where it sat and waited for editing. But when I was at Macy's, I got John signed a bookmark for me. This is a bookmark for my first fantasy novel, which was coming out shortly after the Macy's event. So I asked John to sign a bookmark for me, and he did because he's that awesome. Yay. What else? I think that might be all we need to talk about. Is it all? You get that's enough to Duran to regale you with this evening, maybe? All right, guys. I'm going to encourage y'all to subscribe to the channel here, because you got to subscribe and hit the bell notification to know when I'm updating things, because it's become so freaking random. And I'm going to encourage you one more time to pick up a copy of Reach Up for the Sunrise by Jen Selinsky. Jen, thank you for the re-release of this book. Wymer Publishing has done the reissue, the most current edition. So I encourage everyone to check that out. It was a wonderful walk down memory lane. I enjoyed it. So everybody, I'll see you at a show.